Alrighty, let's jump into the longest, if not most important part of the guide, the item build. We're going to cover many options and try to give you the ability to pick and choose what you are going to kind of need. But hey, this is kind of the boring part. I know, it sucks. But let's just go ahead and jump into it, and you probably will learn something that'll make it worth your time and effort. Starting items on Thanatos jungling consist of this: Death's Toll, Tier 1 Hand of the Gods, and a potion of physical might. Now, some of you might be asking, why Death's Toll? Why not Bumble's Mask? Well, Thanatos' passive health regen when last hitting is basically Bumble's Mask's passive. Although Bumble's Mask does give you the extra 15 MP5 while in the jungle, Thanatos' abilities have a pretty low mana cost, so Bumble's Mask is not really required. The potion of physical might is pretty standard on junglers, but some people prefer to grab some health pots and mana pots instead. Hog 1 is also standard, and you pretty much don't see anyone leave the base without it because it's a quick clear. So as we mentioned, Death's Toll is the first core item that you're going to pick up on Thanatos. Now, when you're roughly around 20 to 30 minutes, you're probably going to want to sell this item to finish off another item with the gold that you're going to get back for it. The second core item in this build is Ninja's Tabby. Now, the reason you pick this up is because the 15% cooldown reduction is more beneficial on Thanatos and preferred over Warrior's Tabby's 15 physical penetration because of Thanatos' second ability, Scent of Death. Thanatos gets more than enough penetration with a fully upgraded Scent of Death, so extra pen on boots is not needed. Now, for a lot of junglers, you're going to want to go Heartseeker's second item, but with Thanatos, the choice is a little bit different, and Jotun's Wrath is arguably better instead. Thanatos is extremely squishy, and while he may have one of the strongest early to mid games, he can be killed easily. Heartseeker is just too risky to pick up on Thanatos for most people. Jotun's Wrath gives 25% cooldown reduction, which is amazing, and the 15 pen that will make up for skipping your boots. Now lastly, for the core items that we're going to talk about is Keen's Size. This is mostly a personal choice for a lot of people, but there is a really good reason for picking it up. Keen's Size gives Thanatos lifesteal, attack speed, and the amazing passive of dealing 20 damage plus 6% of the enemy god's missing health as physical damage. Keen's Size is the whole package when it comes to physical gods. Lifesteal, attack speed, and a passive that hurts the god the more they are losing health. Coupled with the large amount of damage that Death's Scythe does, this will make the passive on this item even more of an instant pickup for anyone wanting to jungle as Thanatos. Alrighty, now that we're done with the core items, let's go ahead and jump into the optional ones. Deathbringer is pretty standard for most physical gods. It gives high physical power, a whole whopping 50, which is the best that you can get. It also gives you a decent amount of critical strike chance and a passive that increases your critical strike chance by 50%. So it's really good to pick this item up if you are ahead of the enemy team early on in the matchup. Usually when you see Deathbringer picked up, Rage and Malice almost always go with it. Whether you go into Rage or Malice is completely up to you. The only real difference between the two items are that Rage gives you a stacking that increases your crit chance by 10% and slightly more attack speed, while Malice on the other hand gives you slightly more physical power and a flat 40% crit chance over the 30 that you get from Rage. As said, it's kind of up to you. It's not really going to go either way. Generally speaking, Malice is chosen more because of the flat 40%, and coupled with Deathbringer, that gives you 60% crit chance, which is really, really good. So let's talk about Voidblade. It is often seen on many physical junglers and melee physical gods. Voidblade gives you physical power and physical protection, and a passive that reduces the enemy's physical protection by 15, as long as they are within 55 units of you. Voidblade is a very decent item, especially if you find yourself up against physical damage heavy teams, or if you find yourself being burst down very quickly by enemy gods. Why not Focus Voidblade instead of regular Voidblade? Well, Focus Voidblade isn't practical. Thanatos already gets enough penetration from his Jotuns and Scent of Death. Witchstone is a pretty decent defensive item against physical enemies. It gives you physical protection, movement speed, and attack speed. Enemies within 55 units of you have their attack speed reduced and their physical power reduced by 25. This is especially useful when trading with physical enemy gods. Plus, who doesn't love lifesteal and attack speed on Thanatos? It should also be noted that this item is even a better pickup if you happen to be going up against what was already said. Plus, the enemy has gods like Zeus, Freya, Chronos, and other such gods like that, as the attack speed will hurt them as well. If you find yourself getting crowd controlled to death, Magi's Blessing has the perfect passive that, along with, gives you some minor magical and physical protections. Magi's Blessing gives you a good chunk of protections, some health, 40% CC reduction, and can absorb a single hard CC every 45 seconds, and gives you 1 second of crowd control immunity after the fact. This is a great defensive item for enemies with lots of hard CC, and it can keep you alive long enough to secure objectives and kills during a fight. And that about wraps it up for the optional items that we are going to be talking about. Obviously, there could be many, many more you can choose from, but these are the key ones that we are suggesting and that we think are probably going to help you out the most. Feel free to post down in the comments if you have any other choices for pickups. And, yeah, click the little linky link that's going to bring you to the next part of the video, which is actually quite a long one as well. Maybe not this long, but whatever.